Yeah. So interaction, right? Okay. I think we should be live already. As usual,
Well, hello,
it's
everyone.
very unexpected. Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Let's continue. So Andrey asked a question: what looks interesting to people who watch us? So I thought maybe people who watch us also maybe subscribe to my social networks, LinkedIn and Twitter, maybe. Who knows? But I asked there, and here are the results. So first of all, LinkedIn, you can see here. Yeah, we chose. So this, Andrey, it was your choice to
Yeah,
mention
I
some
pro
topics.
I proposed some topics just because like something on the top of my mind, something that I was thinking about. And actually,
Yeah.
like I know a thing or two about looking about CLI tool and indexes. It's
Yeah.
it's very fortunate that people didn't ask about something that I just know
Yeah.
much
Yeah,
about.
locking is interesting that it's like every second vote went to locking. Yeah. So tweaking copy parser. Yeah. Expand analyze. I don't know. Okay. So what?
About copy parser, I think we should invite Florence and let him show us how to hack copy. That's
Yeah, I can.
exactly the
Good
area
idea.
where I'm not an expert.
Good. Yeah. Let's try. I can reach out to Florence and try to do it. Yeah. And also, I thought we were going to contribute to PG Sloth, but obviously we have time, so not this time. And and as for X or Twitter, as old schoolers name it, it's very similar distribution, right? Locking even more than 50%, right? Somebody mentioned UUID, but I said it's already done, right? It was done
Yeah,
before. We did it before. It was cool, right? So
yeah, we did it. I think it was the first time I joined us for the ULIDs.
yeah, it was your idea, Kirk, right?
Yeah,
So it was called you. Maybe I need to change the color so it would be obvious that it's about UID version 7. This was the start of it. So yeah, what do you think? Locking,
There,
they push
there
us
was an
to this direction.
interesting idea about something about Excel. What?
yeah, Excel-like formula to SQL expression compilers.
Oh, huh. I don't know. Excel like formula. Okay,
So now
I
that's
do
it's a
not
function.
understand it.
Yeah, function or something.
so there is something I've done some of this before in a weird way. Um, some people don't know this, but you can actually generate a select statement and quote a string that has an equal sign and an Excel expression in it, save it as a CSV, load it up into Excel, and that column will actually evaluate the expression for you using the
Mm.
other columns as a relative kind of thing. So if you're doing same row kind of stuff, you can use Excel has not only A/B mode, it has row one, and current column, right? Current row, just change what column you're looking at. So there are ways you can do some of that and bring it through a normal query. Outside of that, I don't know how much Excel adds that I'd be interested in digging
Yeah,
into doing too much of that in SQL,
and it's
right?
Well,
very exotic to my ears, like but I can imagine so many users understand Excel. So many, right?
But
I,
Excel gives you
as
the opposite, the ability to query the data and bring it into your spreadsheet where the formulas already exist.
I
That's
misunderstood.
built into Excel, right?
Yeah,
So you just hit the query, bring your data in, and you have the other columns set up with the formulas. I mean, yeah. Sometimes it's better to solve a problem by inverting it. That's so. I'm sorry, you were going to say something, Andrey.
I just we can start Excel and try to find something there.
or we can
We
think
can
about
ask
locking.
AI, or we can think about login. I have
Locking
a
is majority, yeah, of votes.
um,
So
Well, what about locking? We can fix locking somewhere. For example, in pgstat statements, we already tried to do it, and I think we tried it online.
Yes.
Today I have the bug report about locking, but it's a relatively difficult thing. So even if we just talk about it, it will take about half an hour or maybe an hour. But I like the idea that maybe AI will explain me what is broken, because I don't know. Something is clearly broken. Something is clearly broken in the patch that I was pushing to be committed, and it was committed. It's not my patch, but I deeply care about it because, like, I observed a problem with this patch. So if you like this idea, we can go this road.
I'm good with we start with the discussion is what you're proposing. Bring it up and
Mhm.
let's talk about the actual locking item we know about, and that
Mhm.
that takes care of the fact we're talking about the topics that they picked. And then what you're
Mhm.
proposing maybe is once we pull that up, we can feed that patch into Cursor, and then kind of
Mhm.
have Cursor give us an idea by describing the problem, maybe having it take a peek and telling us where this could be going wrong, what code might be involved.
Mhm. Mhm.
I love it as an overview. How about you, Nick?
yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
I'm a bit scared about complexity and how to fit into 1 hour, but in general,
Yes, complexity is, but maybe we can find easy pieces out of it. Let's
Eh,
start and see how it plays.
Yeah. And if Andrey can explain it so I understand it, then I think we already got rid of the complexity.
Okay, let me share my screen. So, uh, this is today's report. Something went wrong, and it doesn't mention a commit that I think that is a problem. But let's start from a very distant point. The problem is in multi-transactions. Multi-transactions have nothing to do with transactions, actually. So, when you are updating a row in a heap, you have to lock it. And in fact, you are replacing Xmax with a transaction ID that is updating the row. But from time to time, you want to lock one tuple with many transactions. For example, when you're using something with foreign keys, you have to lock rows that are parent foreign keys to avoid them being deleted before your transaction is committed. So when you have multiple locks on your tuple, you form a multi-transaction. Multi-transaction is just a list of lockers, list of many transactions that are locking the same row. Is it something that I should explain more, or sounds
No,
maybe?
that's good. Go a little bit further than just that. So multi-transaction is something that's blocking. It's blocking multiple rows, and like you just said, especially in a foreign key situation where the parent row might need to be locked, so that you can't accidentally inject
Mhm.
something that someone else is deleting the parent of, because that'll obviously violate the key. So,
Mhm.
okay, good. I think that
Okay.
kind of covers it. Good.
Mhm. So the problem that we were trying to fix is that no, I need one step more before the problem. These multi-transactions, they are stored in SLRU. SLRU is a simple list recently used, but basically it's just a infinite address space where you can where you have a head and a tail, and you can add more data there. And basically, multi-transaction is a space in a SLRU which says that this is a list of some transactions that are named with this multi-transaction ID. And we had a problem that this SLRU must be replicated to standby. And on standby, when you are reading multi-transaction that already have contents, but doesn't have a place where it starts, you need to wait until it is it's finished. And old code reading multi-transactions contained this sleep for a millisecond. If you are using Postgres 16, on the standby, when you have to read the very recent multi-transaction, and it's not there fully yet, you are sleeping for 1 millisecond, and then retry to read it again.
Okay.
Basic logic is very simple, but millisecond is actually a lot of time. Like
It's a lot of time.
Yeah,
it's like
and
1,000 microseconds.
Yeah, or a million of nanoseconds. So you basically can do a million of small computations during this sleep. That's why we replaced this sleep with a conditional variable sleep. What is it? It means there is a place where we are filling the transaction, and we are doing broadcast and like saying, hey, anyone who is waiting for next transaction is there. And if someone is waiting, they must be doing conditional variable sleep, waiting for.
Ooh. But that means you have to change all the code that waits in this situation so that everyone is using this then. Anyone who bypasses this could mess you up.
Sorry, didn't get it.
Okay, I'll ask it slowly. This is a handshaking change or a negotiation change. Therefore, it has to be renegotiated throughout the entire application. So this is in code that everyone has to use and use this way, because if anyone tries to update this not registering with the conditional variable sleep, then they could actually be accessing this and skipping our lock, right?
Yes, but we have only one place to fill in a new multi-transaction, and this function is called record new multi-exact.
So this is guaranteed to be the only place that's actually doing it in the code.
I mean, it's not guaranteed, but I think it is. But I might be wrong.
Well, could that lead to a locking problem if you're wrong?
Yes. If there is other place where we missed it, where we have to add this conditional variable sleep, someone will wait here forever because no one broadcasted that hey, new multi-transaction is there, and that what was actually reported. So here is the report from hackers, and basically someone created a test that I couldn't reproduce because it takes time, which is using
How much time? How much time?
Well, I contacted off list, and he told me that from 3 minutes to 3 hours. And it depends. You have to be lucky.
Okay.
But
and it requires you have two systems set up. You need your primary system and you need your standby system to know that.
Two processes. You just can create it on the same machine. You don't have. You don't need probably you don't need latency of network. But maybe you need it.
We can emulate it, by the way, if needed, right? So
even restart ourselves this PGBench stuff. We can try.
No, well, I mean network latency. If it's needed, it could be emulated.
We can add random sleeps or find something else. Well, in his lucky experiments, he have a reproduction in 24 seconds. That's not too much of testing, actually.
So
what?
And then it drops down to 0, right? Because of multi-exacts.
Nothing works because someone is locking, someone's holding that lock.
And this SLRU is overflown, or multi-exact SLRU overflown, or what? Like I'm already sensing similar to the symptoms are very similar to what happened in my case like 4 years ago or so with subtrans SLRU, subtransactions. Like
well,
it just
the
dropped
reporter
TPS on a replica dropped to 0 because at some
the
point.
reporter is saying that it's not reproducible in Postgres before 17. That's why I'm mostly looking to this patch that we brought to 17.
Interesting.
So, would the question we do with the cursor then be, hey, let's start with whatever 17. This patch was applied, so it gets an idea of this, and this is the line that was replaced. The old handshake with the sleep was replaced with this. Where could we have missed someone accessing this and doing this? Now, the scary part is, I'm assuming extensions don't get involved here.
It's just the core.
It's in the core. Good. So we could ask Cursor to find every other place that's touching and talking to SLRU and kind of give us an idea of different things to look at. There's only two possible causes in my mind for this. One is somebody's not using your approach. Okay. The other one is someone's not using it the way you anticipated because of timing in real time.
Or I do not fully understand conditional variables. There is another.
Okay, good. So
because,
what's a conditional variable?
A conditional variable is like a special object that can be awaited and can be signaled that, hey, condition is met from another process.
Okay.
So you basically have a sleep on the conditional variable, and you have a broadcast. But I'm not sure. Like we have one broadcaster here and many possible awaiters of this broadcast. Does it work this way? Maybe it's not.
Or worse, maybe you could have multiple broadcasters broadcasting something back, and now you're confusing the two. Because this is running in the core that's forked by everybody, right?
That's the interesting part, because we have only, like, this code actually works on not only standby, it works on a primary. And this version is live for more than 1 year. No, slightly less than a year. And we don't have reports of a problem on primaries. We only have a report on a standby. And on a primary, we have a lot of broadcasters and a lot of sleepers. While on a standby, we have only one broadcaster. This is a startup process that is filling new multi-exacts. So in theory, the problem should be more narrow. I don't know why we don't have reports on a primary, if it's a problem.
If it's not narrow, it means that if you have foreign keys and you run Postgres 17, your replicas might be in trouble, right? If it's a wide problem, like not narrow problem. So
if it's a wide problem, it might be problem of a 17 at all if you just run Postgres, not on a standby. I don't see why you'd need a standby here. So none of our theories currently guarantees that there's a problem of standby. Both theories that I misunderstand conditional variables.
It should appear on primary, yeah.
Yes, or there is a place where we fill new multi-transaction but do not do conditional variable broadcast. Both these theories allow this to happen on primary under some conditions. Maybe conditions are much less probable than on standby, like 1 million times less probable.
So let's let me understand this again. So it's got to slow it down for me a little bit. All right, we have this condition variable broadcast setup. And when it's running in the primary, we don't seem to see this problem. But when it's running in the primary, it's running in basically every session is actually executing this code. Is this right? And then so there's a lot of communication and shared memory going on while it's doing this stuff. So the challenge is on the standby, what's different? The standby becomes a linearized version of that driven by wall. So what's happening is we're recording all of these things in the wall, and this is working fine with multiple users all talking and getting their stuff done. Okay, so this means we could have an ABC type loop condition in the main that resolves itself just fine. Okay, transaction A starts, transaction B starts, transaction C finishes, whatever. Let's just assume something like that. I could be wrong. But now when we linearize that so that they're played sequentially, not in different versions of the instances or forks. So now what's happening is we read the wall, we get the A process record, and then it's still us trying to read the B process record, but this lock is sitting out there. Does the B process record, when it tries to process what it's doing in the log is a linear process, is there a chance that it's not able to communicate because it's running in the same exact instance? For example, if you try to take a lock on a lock you already hold, it doesn't do anything. There's no second lock. It just gives you another one, right? If you acquire a lock and you already hold the lock, it just gives it to you. There's no waiting for it. So you can never check a busy lock because you're the holder of it. So maybe something along those lines. That's what I'm thinking right now, is it's either because the order gets changed, okay, from the real-time aspect, or it's that you're the same session that's doing everything. Is there anything that's specific in here where you're assuming you're not the same session in the conditional variable broadcast? Like, do you not broadcast to yourself? So, for example, if
you do not broadcast
try...
for yourself, you cannot do you cannot be at the same time recording new multi-transaction and reading the same multi-transaction.
Right.
You can't do it in the same process because we don't have threads.
Okay, so now when you're playing back the wall, how does that work with ABC setup, where there were 3 different people talking and this one was broadcasting and waiting? So when you do, when does the wait break? How does it know not to sleep? Instead of sleeping, we're calling this wait instead, right?
Sleep only can happen sleep cannot happen in redo pass, in a pass of like filling this multi-transaction. Sleep only can happen in reading multi-transaction. So basically, you're running select, and this select might encounter necessity to wait for something to happen.
Okay.
And so the basic idea, the basic difference of primary and standby is that on standby, we are running long-running queries against frequently changing data. Normally, we don't do it on primary. Well, we do it, but much less frequently, I think. That's the only difference that I see here. Difference between primary and standby workloads. Maybe just try to give it to LLM.
Yeah, I say we made this change. Point it at the conditional variable sleep and give it the description of what's the difference between it has no problem as a main, but in a standby mode when it's replaying wall, it has an issue.
I can give it commit hash and this report of a problem. Do you think it will be able to read the git diff from commit hash?
Depends. If in cursor, it should be able to just use git command to find the history and all the changes in cursor.
Okay. There is our previous hacking session. Close everything. So, how do I start?
Well, do
Hi.
you want to?
Do I need to greet it?
No,
No.
you don't have to greet it. You don't have to say thank you.
Some time ago, I was working on a commit. Can you read it and summarize it? Cloud for Sonnet, is it a good model?
Yeah.
Let me. Okay, summarization is good. It fetched correct commit and read the code. Was a condition variables used correctly?
You
Is
misspelled
it what?
variables. The condition variables. Yeah.
Variables?
And
Is it okay to have many sleepers? Or slippers is like slippers is okay to well processes that sleep.
sleeping processes or
Many sleeping processes on the same conditional. Okay. Do you think it will work?
let's see.
By the way, I took my cursor and just gave it the link to discussion, and it already fetched your patch and applying it and thinking about what's next and so on. Right from discussion with hackers. I just gave a link. That's it. So you already proposed some patch there, right? I missed that point originally.
Yeah, I gave a guy a patch that probably should alleviate his problems on the production. So essentially, I added timeout in sleep. So when it's stuck for some reason, it just fallbacks to previous logic.
Oh, good. So basically, so potentially, now if you add the condition, if we're on a standby and we've exceeded a wait time limit, but that's an interesting solution. Is if you exceed that limit, then just go ahead and fall back to the old code. That'll make the primary faster, and the standby worst case scenario will be the slower wait because it falls back to the sleep.
Well, but yes, it should alleviate the problem. It should relieve the problem. But if our locking protocol is correct, we should not need this timeout. Everything must work even without a timeout. So we can hide the problem by introducing this timeout. But I
Agreed.
want to understand why do we have this deadlock, basically, even without timeouts.
And what should we like if there's a way to trap it in the code so when it actually happens, what would we add for debug details? Like where we're at in the playback of the stream of the wall? Like what would we want to add contextually to understand how we got here? Because the reality is right now we'll create it by doing stuff manually and listen to the wall. Technically, he could take his wall files that he created for this test and play those back again, right? And you could
They
play the
won't
wall
stack.
files back and it won't stick the next time.
No, you have to select queries that interact with startup process in a very specific way. If you are not selecting anything, if you are not observing these multi-transactions, there is nothing to stack.
Oh, I didn't understand that when you first explained it. This is a new piece for me.
That's
So
important.
basically, if it's not just because of the wall playback, if you just play back wall, this never happens.
Yes.
But if you're doing any queries at the same time you're playing back wall, this is the challenge where the queries are potentially communicating, I want to look at stuff, and this thing's saying, hey, if you're looking over here, be careful. I need to lock stuff, right? So this is that's the required interaction that's happening here. And now you get that in production, that happens, and it works out okay. But here it happens. So it's a different fork. It's a different process that's actually doing the queries then, the selects, then the wall replay, right? Okay, good. So just, I'm just building this. Forgive me for being slow. I'm just trying to walk through it.
No
if you
problem.
take the time. So now the requirement is it'll work if it's just itself, if it's the only person looking at it. But now if you add people doing selects, that's what breaks it. So now the question is where's the interaction on the selects? What do selects cause to happen that make this an issue?
We have the selects. Here is scripts for master, for primary server. It's basically doing updates and selects for key share.
Okay, so this is selecting on the exact same table, right?
Yeah,
While
there's
there's
just one
updates.
table.
Right. Okay, good. So the other session that's running is doing selects against this table while the playback is happening of the wall files. And it's the fact that those selects are happening that this is getting tripped up. Without running the selects, we don't get the trip up.
Yeah, it's running very heavy selects. I mean, by heavy, I mean it's
Reading every
unconditional
row
select.
constantly.
Yes. So this should increase chance of reading recent multi-exact ID, multi-transaction.
Right. Right.
I
So
have no idea, but it needs for some reason sleeps. Why? I don't know. It needs sleeps, but it's 100 of concurrent selects.
So here's the next question. If you increase the sleeps, is it more likely to happen? If you increase from 10 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds, do you get that 10-fold increase or some fold increase in this actually happening? Because technically, to me, you should, because you're holding a read lock. So this has to do with, I bet you if you change the transaction type to read dirty or whatever, that this probably doesn't happen if you allow dirty reads.
We can't allow the dirty reads in Postgres. We always have. I mean, in C code we can pick a dirty snapshot, but it's not available from a SQL level.
Okay, good. I'm just trying to, again, I'm feeling my arms around the problem so we get a little bit of a better description of it. This is interesting now. So the restore process happens. So now on the replica, while it's playing back, this stuff is happening, this thing's running, and this wants a consistent query. And the only way it can have a consistent query is by using MVCC and making sure that relative to the beginning and end of its transaction, that it's only reading what was visible at that time in the transactions. So that I think is the beginning of our handshake problem, right? So that's the commitment. So now what happens is on the restore side, while the playback's happening, we're incrementing the transactions, right? This is actually in a begin thing, so it has its own transaction piece. We have the restore side happening, and it's working on the same table. So that table is being updated. So now this is that kind of the handshake that's going on. And the question becomes, what is missing? What is being skipped here in this process? We have lots of these guys all doing these reads, and they're all trying to dance without stepping on each other's toes. And the whole purpose of this variable piece is to make sure that they're not stepping on each other's toes. Now, we can see the symptom at the end, and that is that this thing blows up and tells us this thing, failed, right? when you try running it, it tells us it failed. What's the symptom before that? What's the sign before that it failed? What's triggering this failure? I guess this is getting into what's the definition of that function for the variable? How is it that, like, in order for this to fail, tell me how this fails. What is the definition of failure here where it says failed? 0 failed, and then it throws the error. No transactions per second. Okay, now that's PG Bench telling you what's going on. So it's externally monitoring how many transactions it's able to run, and this thing is now caught in technically an infinite loop. It's not getting out of the loop.
I think all selects must end somewhere. Some multi-transaction is being written, and no one can read it. But I'm not sure. Actually, we have also back traces of startup process and one of running. So let's see. Here is the first backtrace. This is a backtrace of sequence scan node. It is reading some tuple, and while reading tuple, it must check visibility according to snapshot. And while checking, it sees that it has Xmax with multi-transaction and want to dereference the multi-transaction. Reads what is inside of this multi-transaction, what are lockers of this transaction, and then sleep because it is waiting for contents to be written to the wall. But we have also backtrace of a startup process that is applying a wall, and it's just applying something. It's not stuck. It's already many LSNs ahead. It's doing something in not like it's.
Can we have Cursor read these in and look at this and kind of summarize it for us?
Just copy everything and paste to Cursor.
Oh, give it the URL.
Here is a URL.
Yeah, at the top of that.
Work.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't know.
Give it the URL.
I just told you, I took discussion and Cursor already applied your patch. It fetched everything just from URL.
And did it find the problem?
Currently, we're working on setting up 2 nodes locally to reproduce a problem.
So you're reproducing. Cool.
But that's okay. Let's paste it in here and see where this goes.
Yeah, and just for fun, I also sent feedback to Circleback, asking them, can they create some way so our discussions would be fed to Cursor in real time, ideally. It's fun idea.
What is the root?
I just want pieces to be connected, because otherwise we need to explain like this.
Oh, yeah. The number 2 point that it made for you, Nikolai, was recovery conflict handling. The startup process holds locks differently during recovery than during normal operation.
Yeah, it was a brainstorm with Opus 4. I don't know how much it's useful. Andrey, it's in Telegram chat. If some ideas, I have no idea. I have no sense.
There is a lot of information.
10 ideas, yeah. Brainstorm. Some stupid ideas, maybe.
Okay.
So for everyone wondering what just happened was Nikolai's in the advanced course and jamming away over there while we were walking through and describing the problem a little bit more like engineers. And Nikolai solved it before us.
I'm just trying to bring more brains and including artificial brains, right? But I have no idea.
These 10 ideas are
BS, right? Not
Well,
relevant. Okay.
it's really hard to judge because some are like very
They
random and
they make you think. I see. Okay. What
they
is
are
this?
they are loosely connected to reality, I'd say.
Hmm.
Do you think it's
It's
working
working.
or it's fetching somewhere and maybe doing something? Uh,
It looks like it's still generating the response, so it got stuck somehow. I don't know why. It worked for me.
Yeah, it shouldn't be taking this long. You can consider stopping it and adding some context, or just, you know, ask it how's it going, like, and then do that as an add context there. You broke cursor.
maybe kind of networking problem.
Maybe. You want to go ahead and stop it? Did it stop when you clicked on stop? Did you click on stop?
Maybe it's
Maybe you
simple.
ask it a simpler question. Can you just ask it if you can find this and summarize it
Oh,
first? Oh,
something happened. No, it's our progress report. So here is the bug report that is probably connected.
yeah,
Do you think it is connected?
there you go.
Well, I'm mostly sure that it's connected. I mean, it's
It's listening. That's so Nikolai is talking about getting circle back to be recording what we're actually saying and feeding it back into cursor.
In
And the
real
reality
time.
is in real time is that cursor's opening up our microphone and listening.
It's already so, you mean, right? Okay.
Right. It's already filtered
Maybe
it in.
so. Ideally, not only microphone because you're on headphones. No, Andrey is not on headphones. So microphone is okay. So you need to capture everything. So all audio interfaces because the microphone
It's
is not enough.
Have you ever seen the one where there's an audio of it where the guy goes, Alexa, what's the temperature outside? And he doesn't get a response. He goes, Alexa. Then he goes, oh, sorry, Siri, what's the temperature outside? And Siri responds, why don't you ask that biatch, Alexa? It's like, uh-oh, they're really listening.
What happened? Maybe I should just paste a link.
Yeah,
Maybe
let's do
it's
it. Somehow it doesn't work in this case. It works for me,
not
but yeah.
not a link.
Copy paste content. Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Well, I didn't understand why you put an @ sign in front of the URL, but that was, I don't
It did
know.
it automatically.
Oh,
It
it
works
doesn't. Got
also
it.
when in cursor, when you, for example, select some lines, it's how it like injects context. So
You paid your bill for cursor, right? No, it's
something is not all right. Maybe, by the way, again, like they released a couple of versions since our session. I already upgraded. They
yeah.
release
Check for
very
updates
often.
under help.
Bugs might happen.
You might want to check for update and then restart it. I've exited out and restarted a few times. Under the help menu, oh, there you go. Restart to update. See, it's waiting for an update.
How much time does it take?
Oh, it usually it's pretty quick, but does it restart on its own? Yeah, I think it does.
It's starting.
Let me look at mine real quick. Mine's probably out of date too.
It's very fast. Finally, I have two nodes running. The cursor creates them. Now we try to reproduce the problem as described in the original message.
It looks like it lost a chat.
All right. Well, the
So
good news is just paste in that conversation and see what we got.
let's start with
The patch.
please
No, I
inspect.
didn't lose it. You see past chats
Designing the
at the
previous
bottom.
one.
At the bottom, there is a past chats at the bottom. Summarize commit is ours, right?
Oh, there you go. At the very bottom of your screen.
Uh-huh. Oh, it started.
Software, man. So do they use Postgres? Maybe it was they had an issue with multi-transactions on the read replica.
Yeah. You mean cursor itself? If it was,
Yeah, if cursor is
they
is
by the
using
way use
Postgres.
Postgres. They use Postgres
Yeah, that's what I heard.
on backends. Yeah, and
So
considering,
does
I
Altman.
heard, I also heard they consider moving to MySQL and planet scale.
Uh-oh.
But let's see.
Yeah, it's we are here in agreement that it's definitely connected.
Oh, and look at this. This is exactly the kind of issue I would expect from that change. Oh, really? Well, if you expected that kind of issue, help us fix it. Oh, it's warning you there's no control variable broadcast in this code. But it used to record. Oh.
So can you fix it? I didn't get what it thinks the problem. I don't
Well, scroll
understand.
back
So
up. Let's go back up a little bit more. Right here, it wrote a little bit of code, and it says, looking at this, the multi-exact redo, right? And then what it's saying is there's no conditional variable broadcast here.
but it's a conditional variable broadcast is inside multi-exact advanced. No, it's inside record new multi-exact.
Right, but is it supposed to, when it's done with it, broadcast back that it's done with it?
So it seems that broadcast should be not within record new multi-exact.
Or there has to be one after you're done using it.
It's right. I understood. Oh. Oh, no, I didn't understand, but I need to just look to the code and think about it a bit. So here is our broadcast. It's within record new multi-exact. Let's see the code, and I will do it with just Visual Studio. Just close all and see this function. Where we're doing this broadcast. We are doing this broadcast after we have recorded We have recorded new offset of new multi-transaction. So it's there, it's written. And when we wait for this conditional variable sleep. So the broadcast is after offset is written, and the sleep is checking that offset is not written every time. So it seems correct to me. I think it is wrong. But I don't know how to.
So hold
Maybe
on. So explain this to me. In the first time when we get in this loop and we fall asleep, we're falling asleep because the next offset wasn't written, right? Now we're sitting in the conditional variable sleep. The other code you just flipped to is actually setting the next offset pointer to a value. And then after it does that, it's basically telling me to wake up. So if I think of this in terms, this is almost like the notify signal thing going on. Okay, right? So this is that kind of fast thing. So now you set that, you release the lock, and now you say, hey, everyone who's listening for this, you can have at this. So now we go back to the sleep and we wake up. So now what happens? We wait until now, are we on the right thing now? Is the other event called wait event multi-exact creation where we were sleeping? Is that what it did when it set the offset pointer? Are we waiting for that exact piece to be done? And let's assume we are, then we can go to retry. And where does retry go?
Retry starts from the beginning here.
Cool. So now we come back up here and we go to read again with multi, okay? And we start falling through the logic again.
There is an interesting race condition that is not race condition. Probably it doesn't know about it. Here we check that we have to wait. And here we actually wait. What it could seem that let's say that this data under this pointer is changed here during these lines. And now we are starting to sleep, and maybe some broadcast arrives to us when we were not sleeping yet.
Very true.
But that's not how it works actually. When we are first time we are calling sleep for some event, we just saying that we are going to sleep and we exit immediately and then recheck. So when we first time enter line number, this line of sleep, we actually set up a sleep and exit immediately to retry that we have to sleep and sleep only on a second call.
Oh, good. Okay, that makes sense in case we missed it. In case we had that race condition.
This race condition is covered. But when I see a report from Cursor, it is saying to us that something is up with this function. Maybe see what this function is doing, because I have no idea what's it. So it tells us that we need a broadcast here too. And I want to note another thing about a report of Cursor, that it's saying that the bug is in a redo function. This is a good thing, actually, if it's so, because like having a bug on a primary is very scary. Having a bug on a
On
standby
replicas is also scary as well.
Well, it's problematic, but not that scary. Like every installation of Postgres can be stuck at some point randomly. It's super scary. Like every standby can die at the moment.
Scary.
Not that scary.
Well,
systems will
mission
go
critical
on more
systems without standbys cannot live.
rely on standby. Okay, let's see what this function is doing. I don't know if it's there yet. Here is the code that Cursor is complaining about. First one is recording multi-exact ID. What is it doing? Okay, so it is changing something. We want to check if this next offset and next multi-exact, if these variables are examined on sleeping code, if this can affect sleeping code.
Next MX offset.
I don't see any, like this code starting from a retry is not dependent from here to here. So the selected code must not be dependent on stuff that is changed during redo in that at that function about which Cursor is complaining. I don't know. Maybe let's try to ask it for a fix.
Were you able to recreate it yet, Nikolai?
Yeah, not yet. Still working on it. But decided to switch to 17 branch because started from current master. So
yeah, it's a problem only within 17, I think.
Not in 18. This is a question. So I like Cursor and I decided to go to 17.
It might be harder to reproduce in 18. I don't know why, but it might, like we know it is reproducible in 17, but we don't know anything about 18.
We made several attempts, and but our attempts were lasting 60 seconds. I'm going to ask to take more time for attempts.
Okay, I will ask Cursor for a fix. I just don't understand.
If you cannot reproduce, how can you fix it?
I can understand the problem.
Okay.
Personally, I'm not. I just like
you're running Postgres in your mind. I see.
Yes. Okay. I think maybe this our session is a little bit. It's too far from like some entry point to locking. This is some super specific case of raw locking that can happen on a standby under specific conditions, and
you're trying to say this is not this is not what people meant choosing locking, right?
Maybe, but they got to see how many little locks we had, how we unlocked. We could have spent a little bit of time explaining some of the lock and unlock code, right? The lightweight lock, unlock before we jump back up to the top to retry, right? And anytime you have code like that that jumps back up, you have to be very careful that you don't have a memory leak. If you're allocating any memory between there and the retry, you're going to lose that unless it's, freed up, so those are places. And I'd like to say, I saw that comment recently. Tom Lane and the crew got and cleaned up a lot of the memory leak messages that were coming out a week or two ago. They jumped in and dealt with that and really reduced the number of messages down so that it was more useful, at the end of the process. So I like how they constantly find things to fix and clean up and make better.
I think it's hanging again. Maybe I should just restart.
No. Can you just
don't restart?
Follow up with question like some question like just question mark and send it. Not
Just
stopping
type
anything.
question mark and hit
Not
send.
stopping anything. Just question mark and send it. Still hanging, right?
Just there you go. Yeah, that's what it did last time. Go ahead. I would always hit stop before I just exited, just so the conversation isn't like in the middle of something. Yeah. And then you can pop out and go back in. I do have to stop and restart cursor from time to time. It becomes like a jilted lover if I use it too long.
This file is not saved.
Yes, I can fix it. Ooh.
It took my patch. That is how to say it in English. Like it's a temporary solution for like solving problem at hand. It's not meant to be used. And I already did this check that it's running tests. I know that tests will pass.
I like how it gets the time wrong. It says perfect 1,000 milliseconds instead of microseconds. So perfect. Using 1,000 milliseconds timeout is consistent. No, I hope not.
It's 1 second.
One second is a lot for LTP. It's just eternity. Like
yeah.
computers can compute anything.
Microsecond. Yeah.
Well, 1,000 of microseconds is still a lot. But
yeah,
what?
I would ask it. Don't you think this is really a hack around to the problem? Like that's what it really is. It doesn't really fix the problem. It avoids running into the problem.
I do not understand. What are changes?
Oh, look, it includes the 1,000 in the parameter. It passed the sleep time to go in.
Yeah, that's the patch that I sent to hackers.
Okay. All right.
And
So
but it with a comment. It added a comment. Do you think it is a hackish temporary solution? I want to be sure this locking protocol is bulletproof. Well, we know it's not. It's not.
So turn it around. If we know that this fallback that you put in fixes the problem, okay, follow my logic here. Why not add additional logging in your fallback whenever you hit it to kind of give us an idea of what was internally going on at that point in time? Like maybe it's, you need a guck to see it, but for testing reasons, that's the perfect place to put the testing data of whatever you're trying to introspect that might be the root cause of this. Like, what is the situation as it stands now? Like, I don't know, in memory, or what variables, what would you want to see when this catches it? First off, I'd love it to log that, hey, I'm skipping a lock, right? I'm bypassing the freeze, and have that emit, right? Do an e-log of that at the minimum so that we can actually see that it's catching it, and then try to figure out what I would add to that message to help debug it deeper. Since we have something that seems to work, this would prove why it works. Because whenever you hit this code, it would have otherwise potentially have waited forever. And in fact, you know what I would consider doing? I'd consider making the wait longer each time. Okay, so that this way, once you hit it at 1 second, it'll wait 10 seconds just to make sure that it actually gets hit at various expanding times. After a while, you don't care, stop it. But knowing that sometimes it just needed more time versus that it worked and it fell out of it. I'm curious, what are you thinking, Andrey? Besides, I'm crazy.
Sorry, Kirk. I was thinking about these two lines of code that they are definitely wrong. We shouldn't add these lines, but it makes sense in the context that I was misunderstanding the whole problem. We observed 0 transactions per second. This means that all transactions, all selects were stuck on this exact multi-exact. All of them, everyone. And I thought that startup process was running as usual. I think I'm wrong.
Replaying wall, you mean, right?
Yes, I was thinking that it's doing next replace all over. I think it's just the block. So startup process is waiting for some page to be
unlocked. Right.
Yes, and someone who is reading this page is waiting for a multi-transaction ID that must be filled with a startup process, and that's what happened. Now I understood what is fix that it was proposing is completely wrong. But the
it pointed you in the right direction.
Right. Yes,
it helps you comprehend what's happening.
It's
just the block.
Yeah, what is the role of new mechanism introduced in 17? That what is the role in this? Why didn't it happen in 16?
Because we tried to shorten the sleep. In
longer sleep was better
before 17. Long sleep is bad. Many backends and all of them were sleeping.
No, I mean it's better to avoid such deadlock somehow. If you sleep 1 millisecond, you can avoid it.
If you're sleeping for 1 millisecond and retry, so you relieve lock on a page here.
So optimization increased the chances for deadlock.
No, optimization created a deadlock.
Created, introduced, right? So
Introduce the
so
deadlock
it
actually.
wasn't possible before optimization. 100% so, right?
Yes. So when we are going to retry, we must release some log that is acquired by but we don't do it.
Yeah, you only have one, and you release it at the top of that if condition, and you release it after the if condition too, right? You got lock equals simple LRU, unless prior to this you have a lock on a page.
I don't get it again. So when we are going to sleep here, we are holding some lock that is preventing startup process from running further. What lock are we we can see what lock in a report. There must be backtrace of a startup process here, and it is waiting for a lock.
What's it? Okay, so the semaphore lock is the one that actually does the lock. Good.
And it's waiting for a heap page.
Oh, so it's not
to
waiting
reach.
for an LRU. So it's waiting on a
No.
heap page. And the current process could be waiting on a heap page. But hold it, it should be read only though, because it's just doing sums.
Yes, so startup process is going to change that block. But select process wants to read this. Still don't get it. So currently I think we should ask reporter if it's real deadlock or if it's stuck backend. And our analysis actually depends on what reporter Dmitry is observing.
How easy is to check this? Like, we cannot run any queries, or
I think here is a startup process. It is reading buffer. If he observing that backtrace of a startup process is changing, so we are reading different buffers, then it's not a deadlock. If he observes that it's constantly reading the same buffer all over again and cannot grab a lock on it, it's a deadlock. Basically, if LSN is changed on a standby,
yeah, you can just check
it's not a
with
deadlock.
even with PS, you can see it's changing, right?
Yeah, you can in PS startup process is printing its LSN.
Yeah, it's very interesting that we discuss deadlock on a standby, right? It's like it's funny, like it's very exotic to me, honestly.
Yeah, let's try next time to pick something like easier.
Yeah, I have one topic.
Blocking.
Well, check Telegram. I have one topic just for next time. Maybe it's very interesting article from Lawrence Albe. Yeah. A select for update. I love select for update, but article says select for update considered harmful. And actually, this connects. Yeah.
I agree with the article says use the no key, select for a no key update, and that prevents the problem, right?
Right.
I think it's worth knowing.
Right. But maybe we can explore it somehow and think maybe it can be improved. The author, Lawrence says it's like train already went very long ago, left us long ago, but maybe, I don't know, at least to diagnose this problem somehow and something. I don't know. It's just, I find it interesting. And last time I used considered harmful title I got huge pushback on Hacker News. It was sub-transactions considered harmful. And symptoms were the same for our case. On replica, we have 0 TPS at some point because of sub-transfers LRU overflow.
So overflow, yeah.
Yeah. And I decided to write an article. At that time, Michael Stonebreaker and I think also, Alvaro also, Hernandez, they wrote an article about basically MongoDB considered harmful. And I thought it's a good title, right? But on Hacker News, people several times they sent me the link to considered harmful titles, considered harmful. And there's an article explaining why this title is bad. So yeah, it's and now I see this, but the topic is super interesting. So I don't know if it's worth hacking something, but let's think maybe.
Well, today we were not just hacking; we were mostly thinking and reading.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is the first step to hacking in there. I would like to know if it's possible to get some extra details in whenever that sleep. I like your hack that, hey, fall back to a sleep, right? And only stay locked for so long. What I would like you to do is print out which role you are, which PID you are, right? A few things of details right before that, so you can tell. That'll answer your question right away. Were you the replica? Were you in the wall restore process waiting stuck? Or were you in one of the other processes that was stuck, right? And then from my perspective, finding the point at which you can detect the problem, that gets you to pre-detection.
Oh, when we are exiting a sleep, we do not know. When we are exiting time at sleep, we have a Boolean result that if it's true, then timeout expired.
Yeah.
So when this function, conditional variable time sleep, is returned true, we must print some debugging information.
Absolutely.
I will make such a patch and try to send it to Dmitry. But I have no ideas what to log.
At the very least, I would log the PID so he can tell which it was. Was it happening because of this, or was it happening because of that? Next, I would definitely consider logging something like the LSN you were working on, like what if you were in a transaction and you were doing this. But the PID is the most important because we need to understand, is this happening to the client, right, to the one that's doing the reading, or is it happening to the one doing the writing? We believe now it's probably the one doing the writing. Then the only next question is, if it's happening to the one who's doing the writing, then is there some kind of thing you can output where you output the current locks? Like dump all the locks. Is there like a panic dump, show all the locks and crash, right, to get out of this thing so that you get the details?
Kirk, maybe is there a way to call a debugger in C? Can we do like something like this?
Yeah. I believe there is a trick for that. I'm going to have to ask one of my friends.
Yeah, should call a friend. Meanwhile, in our in my case, this seems we built comprehensive infrastructure to reproduce, but so far a couple of minutes run was not enough. I asked to run for 1 hour. We will see later today. I will send you a message if I successfully reproduce it.
So they used Ray's SIGTRAP as a way to do it. So if you're running it inside the debugger, it'll actually trip.
Like this.
And let me, but you have to include the right header file. What is it? Signal. Make sure you get signal.h. Obviously.
I think it's already here. Postgres version of signal, and it's including signal H. Okay, so maybe let's wrap up for today. And
Yeah.
No, this was success to me, man. Like, look, it pointed us in the right direction. It wasn't that it was completely unhelpful. And the fact that it was able to peek and see Andrey's other solution and think that that was good and bring it down and claim it as its own. I'm thinking it's a real hacker these days.
Yeah, it has personality, right?
Yeah, it certainly does. So, awesome. All right, guys.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
See you
Take care.
later.